So a very good morning, boys and girls, and welcome back to Flamborough Head. This morning we've come down just to take some photographs at sunrise. I was hoping there was going to be one, and I was a little bit concerned there wouldn't be enough cloud. And then we've got here, and it kind of looks like there might be too much cloud. So I'm going to start off taking a photograph of the drinking dinosaur from a slightly different angle. I came out here a couple of weeks ago doing some astrophotography, and I really liked how the shot looked. So I thought, come out and try it again during the daytime with a little bit more tide. So let's have a look and see how this first photograph turns out. So for this one, I want to take a photograph of the drinking dinosaur, just from a slightly different angle than what everybody else really takes it from. So we're going to do a 60-second long exposure photograph. So 60 seconds is plugged in, f5.6 and ISO 200, and I'm using the built-in live ND feature on this OM system, OM1 Mark II, and we're using the ND 128, the 7-stop filter. So let's go ahead, let's focus right on the rock formation. Photos taken, I'll show it when it's done. So I always like coming to the coast at Blue Hour. I always like how the sea and the sky kind of mirror one another in tones. And you get the rock formation with all the whites and the greens and everything. It just sort of stands out a little bit from all the blues. But it's such a shame that everybody comes here and they all seem to stand in the same spot taking the same photograph of the same rock formation that they've seen on Instagram. See what I'm saying? So I moved away from the drinking dinosaur now and moved to a spot just behind the lighthouse. I just want to try and take a couple of wider photos of Selwick Bay. It's normally a place I go down and play in, but today I just want to see what we can do just from up above here. I don't know how well this is going to work, and there's a flower head just waving about. It's gonna mess this long exposure up. It may need to be cloned out of there. So let's have a look and just see what happens with this one. So my ISO 200 again, f11 now, 20 seconds. Let's focus right on that far cliff. Actually, let's not. Let's go 30 seconds. We're clipping a little bit of the sky, but I can always crop that out. I just want to see how this turns out before moving down to a little lookout platform down there where we can get something slightly more impressive looking of the bay. But it's not a spot I've been to. I thought, stuff it. We'll take a photograph. Like I say, we'll see what happens with it. So I've moved to a spot now where you can get a really nice photograph of the little sea stack in Selwick Bay, but I want to try something a little bit different. I want to try the use of a lot of negative space. So I'm basically going to throw the sea stack and the cliffs in the bottom right sort of corner of this image, and everything else is going to be sky and it's going to be sea. And I just want to see what happens with it, just try something a little bit different. So again, ISO 200, but 20 seconds, f10. I'm still using the built-in live ND here, so we're still getting a long exposure look. I'm going to take that photo, and while that's taking, I want to talk to you for a minute about something. So last night in the bath, I was having a chat with David Flower. It sounds more weird than it was. It was on Facebook Messenger. I assure you he wasn't there washing my back. And we got talking about the differences between mirrorless cameras and DSLRs, and has mirrorless cameras, has the technology inside of it, has it made photography a little bit too easy? Let's get down to the bay and I'll tell you what I mean. So as I was saying, last night in the bath talking to David Flower, we were talking about camera companies, camera models, and how camera brands now, they kind of seem to be slimming down their range of cameras. If you remember back in the early 2000s to the mid 2010s, Canon had a number for every single camera, the 500s, 550s, 600Ds, and really was there much difference between any of them models? Maybe a screen flipped out a different way. Unless you care about megapixels, the Canon 5D and the Canon 6D, for the most part, were basically the same bloody thing. Sensor was slightly different, but for the most part, same camera. Why did both exist? And anyway, we was going through this and it kind of dawned on me a little bit. I kind of miss DSLRs in a way. These things are great. Mirrorless cameras are fantastic tools for photography, workhorses, feature filled, fantastic. The focus peaking, the zebras, the highlight and the shadow clipping, But for me, I was kind of wondering, is that where it kind of starts to fall down a little bit? Does it make it too easy? Let's take focus peaking, for example. Gone are the days, in a way, where you could point your camera at something and you'd autofocus, and let's be honest, some DSLRs and some lens combinations weren't fantastic for autofocus, and manual focus can sometimes be a little bit of a chore. It was, on occasion, is what I want in focus actually in focus? But focus peaking on these things, a twist of a dial, a press of a button, it highlights in red, yellow, blue, white, whatever colour your camera is set up for. And you kind of know if your subject is in focus, which is great, I suppose, but it kind of takes the trial and the error and the fun away from it, in a sense. And the same could be said for the highlight and shadow clipping. I have red for highlights and blue for shadows. Some camera companies use zebras where you see the banding. Same thing, it tells you if you're over or underexposing certain elements of your photograph. But again, have these things made that too easy? You know, the trial and the error, the fun side of it, you know. I kind of miss the days where I go out with my old Canon 6D and I come somewhere like this and there was none of those features in there, and sometimes you'd have to take a photograph 3 or 4 times to get something properly exposed or to nail your focus, and I always found that kind of fun, and in a sense, I miss that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on mirrorless cameras. Like I say, I think they are fantastic tools, and the features that they include make photography so accessible and so easy these days. But I just want to ask you the question, have they taken a little bit of the fun away? A little bit of the trial and the error? The excitement when you finally get it? 9 times out of 10, you'll point the camera at something with one of these sort of things and, you know, you've got the photograph. So I just want to ask you the question, have they killed the fun just a little bit? Are DSLRs going to have a resurgence in a few years, a little bit like film has now? Or the nostalgia value, English? I don't know. You tell me. So anyway, rant over, and let's get back to taking photographs. So I want to take a picture of the cliffs over in front of the camera. There's a rock down here that's getting sloshed about with a little bit of water, and we're just going to use that as a bit of a foreground interest. And again, we're going to do a long exposure using the live in D mode, but it's just a case of timing it when some really fun stuff's going on like that. Obviously we've got to wait for all the white water to swirl around it. That's how we get all the fun textures and everything. I like that one. It's kind of created like a horseshoe. Well, that is really sharp there. Like I say, just going to use the live in day. We're just going to keep taking some long exposure photos, and hopefully we're going to get one that we like. So when I was up on the cliff tops, I was doing some really long exposures, 20, 30 a minute in terms of seconds, but when I come down here and do things on the beach like this, I kind of like to calm things down a little bit, a couple of seconds just to show some texture, some movement. It kind of just shows where things are going instead of completely flattening everything out. To me, there is a time and a place for that, and especially down here on the beach, when you've got a subject, I just find it a little bit fun just to slow down. So at 1.6 seconds, f5.6 ISO 200, and again, I'm still using the 7-stop live ND, and we're just going to get really wet, but that's looking really fun around there, actually. Let's see how that looks. Ugh. Nah, see, that wave covered it too much. Doing things like this, there is an element of trial and error, which is always good fun. Like I said in the last clip, trial and error can sometimes just make it just a little bit more exciting. Do you know if you're going to get it? Has it worked? Are you going to have to try again? Like I say, to me, I think that's something that's maybe gone missing from at least my own photography. I don't know about yours, but yeah, mirrorless cameras, little fun spoiling things. So again, we're continuing with the theme of boulders and waves. I'm going to get wet here, but this might look really cold, but really fun. Let's take a long exposure here. I've been really drawn to the waves crashing over this little cluster of rocks around here. That was a bit too much. Let's wait while it comes out a little bit more. Let's try that. We're down about 2.5 seconds, f10, ISO 200. Like I say, I was really drawn to how these rocks, it's getting washed around by these waves. It just looks fun. Against all of the sea, I'm stumbling for words here because I'm really cold, but this photo might look really nice. It's just such a shame I wasn't really able to get any separation between the sea stack in the distance and the cliffs. It's just it's just a case of angles, I'm afraid. It's just going to be what it's going to be. But I'm still doing the same as last time. I'm just taking a series of photographs and just picking the best one, really. We've got something there that might work really nice. There's a big black one just around there, and it's just not quite getting covered in the waves, whereas these ones in the front are. And actually, acrylic, I like that. That's the photograph. I'm going to show you that one there. Well, as you can imagine, I'm not very comfortable anymore. The boots are, well, at least they're clean, I suppose. Now, I'd just like to ask you once again, have mirrorless cameras just taken a little bit of the fun and a little bit of the challenge out of photography? Or are you a big advocate of them, and do you think DSLRs are a thing of the past? It was just a curious little conversation and an interesting thought that popped into my head last night whilst I was in the bath. A little bit like I was down there. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you have enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up and like. It does help bring new viewers to see my content. And if you're new here, you see me for the very first time, you can always press that subscribe button down below and you'll see more Micro Four Thirds related nonsense from myself every single week. So until next time, I love you and leave you and say peace and goodbye.